Thank you.
There we go. All right, I'm going to let in some folks. Okay. Dawn, you look a little sideways.
I'm sorry.
There you go. Much better. So we started recording, but we haven't officially started yet. I just wanted to bring you guys in because you were waiting for so long. Didn't want you to think that we were ignoring you. But it's 6:58 now. We're going to give it two more minutes. Hopefully, let some more people in, and then we'll officially get started. Okay, it's 7 o'clock, and we'll officially start the meeting. If there are folks that enter afterwards, we can always let them in. I want to welcome you guys. This is the kickoff, first community meeting, first sort of thing that you do when you want to develop a piece of property in the city of Annapolis, and you're going to submit a major site plan. You are required to notify the folks within a certain number of feet around your property and have a community meeting to present very preliminary plan views and elevation views of what we're hoping to do. I have the owners of this project are with me today, Tom, Hannah, and Jody. And so they'll be jumping in here and there, but I'll be taking you through sort of the nuts and bolts of this. And I'll start by sharing a screen of what you were sent. And that would be, can everybody see the major site plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is what was sent in the mailer along with the invitation to this meeting. And what this is it's just a plan view of the corner of West Street and Colonial Avenue. The property in question is addressed at 161 West Street. The owner partnership or the owner group is called 161 West Street LLC. And we're proposing to construct a 3-story mixed-use building on what is now a grassed vacant lot adjacent to lemongrass, excuse me, and in front of the Knighton parking garage. Just some quick info. This is in a mixed-use zone. Typically, the maximum height for a mixed use in this zone would be 65 feet. However, in this specific address and location, we are at a 36-foot maximum for this site. This was the old, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jody and Tom, this was the old Ramsey's piano location, correct? And so there might be a few piano parts buried in there, but we're not too worried about that. This will have a basement, which will have some of the mechanical equipment in it, as well as on the roof. The lower level of this is proposed to be a retail, commercial use, likely restaurant. And then the upper 2 stories are, and correct me on this one, Jody, are they going to be condominiums or apartments? Or
They're
you
going to be condominiums, but we'd like to keep them as rental units.
Okay. I'll zoom in a little bit on this site, on this plan, because it shows some important stuff. Almost all the utilities that we're going to tie into are in Colonial Avenue. The goal here is to try not to disrupt West Street to the greatest extent possible, because obviously traffic issues. So we have 12-inch sewer running in West Street with a manhole here, sort of right at the intersection. This is the halfway point of the road, so this isn't the entire West Street. This is the center part. That sewer runs south on Colonial Avenue. So our building sewer will likely exit the building along its east side and tie somewhere into this 12-inch sewer main, which means it'll probably add a manhole somewhere, probably in here, maybe up here. We'll see. We're not into those weeds yet, but that's the plan. We also have, getting even closer here. We also have an 8-inch water line that comes down, there's a 16-inch water line in West Street, connects to an 8-inch water line, does a little jog here, and then continues on Colonial Avenue to feed the other properties. So our water hookup as well will be somewhere into Colonial Avenue in this 8-inch water main. There is gas in Colonial Avenue as well, 4 inches coming out of West Street. And if there is gas at this residence or at this structure, which I assume there will be, because when there is gas, it's best to hook up to it. That will as well come out of the east side of this and attach to the gas main here. The last bit of that will be runoff, storm drain. We are required by code that the water that falls on the roof here is to be contained or managed, is the word for it, so that it doesn't exceed what the condition is now, which is a grassed lot, right? So we're going to have a vault in the basement of this structure that will allow the water to store and release it at a slow rate into this manhole, either through a pipe here or somewhere in here, into this storm drain. Which
Do you mind if I watch this?
Oh, sure. Which heads down Colonial Avenue as well. So all the utilities pretty much in Colonial Avenue. There is this BGE vault, which is electrical and other cablings that we'll be dealing with just because it's right up against the property line. But we don't anticipate at this time having any disturbance to West Street itself. There might be some improvements with regard to the brick and the frontage along both West Street and Colonial, but we're hoping to stay out of West Street as much as we can. Does anyone have any questions about utilities before I move on to other aspects of the project? Okay. What I'd like to do now is stop sharing and share a different screen. And this would be, now I want to caution you before I show this, because there are colors on this building in this picture. We have no idea what color the building is going to be yet, but this is a nice picture, and it really gives a good show of what the building will look like from across the street. Can everybody see that?
Um,
Yes?
So, yeah, so it's only going to be 36 feet, not the 65 feet.
Correct. We are limited in this district. There's been, this project along with some of these other buildings along this side has been going on for some time. There has been agreements and limitations that have been put on this project years ago that are going to be maintained throughout this this project. So at this time, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Jody and allow Tom or Dan as well. The architect is on the line as well, and he can just kind of discuss what their idea is for this building and the uses. So Jody, take it away, please.
Hey, thank you very much, Carl, and thank you everybody for joining us on this community Zoom. As Carl said, please don't get too caught up in the color scheme. We are open to all kinds of suggestions. It's just it looked a lot better than just the black and white, and it does give some depth to the building. So we wanted to go ahead and throw some in there and highlight some of the aspects of the building. As Carl said, this is a 36-foot building within the Height District. It's gone through various stages through the years, but this actually is considered phase 2 of the West Village project. The West Village project was Lemongrass, Metropolitan Object, if everybody remembers that, and Hudson Bouquet. I was a partner in that development in 2005 and 2006, and this was considered phase 2. And somewhere along the line, a worldwide recession hit, and I had a few kids, and other things happened, and here we are 10 years later, and we're giving it another go. So we're really excited about this. This is, fits really nicely within the neighborhood. It shields the garage from West Street. It is one of the last adaptive reuses of property on West Street. There's 2 other vacant lots that are you probably see every day that are sort of eyesores that hopefully somebody will develop in the future. One's the gas station that went out of business, and the other one is the Plumbers Union lot next to Park Place, which is a big development. But this, as you can see, is very modest. It'll have a restaurant and retail on the ground floor, and then it'll have 6 affordable condos that will be rental units, and there'll be 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms. We're super excited about this, and we're super excited about getting it up and running. One of the things that we looked at when we were trying to create this project was, how do we get it built actually in West Street with the density that West Street has, with the garage there, and where do we stage it, and how long is it going to take? And our architect, Dan Douglas, came up with a fabulous idea, and we started doing research on mass timber buildings, which are pretty common out west, not so much common in the city of Annapolis, but it's exactly what you might think it is. It's made out of mass timber. It's manufactured off-site according to specs. And then the team comes in who has done a lot of mass timbers, and within about 2 weeks, they put the frame up and it's done. And so all of the staging will be done literally in about, we hope, 10 to 14 days. And it'll be completed. And then we put a curtain wall on the outside, and we're left with a beautiful interior building that has lovely exposed wood beams and mass timbers. And I'll let our architect go into that a little bit more because he's done a lot of research about it. But it's super exciting, and it would be the first mass timber project in Annapolis. So the city, I think, is pretty excited about trying to do something new like that too. It's very environmentally friendly, and it is done in a very rapid time frame, so that we don't have piles of wood or steel on site for months at a time. So that's it. We don't have in terms of the restaurant, I think I'm a partner, and I think many of you probably know me or have gone to some of my restaurants. I'm a partner in Tsunami and Lemongrass, Metropolitan and Sailor, Oyster Bar, which this is going to be a neighborhood restaurant for grownups, for locals, for people that live in the area, so that you guys can walk back and forth. And it's going to be in the spirit of Lemongrass and Sailor, where we give you good quality, affordable food in a friendly environment. It will only be open till 12 a.m. We won't be applying for a 2 a.m. liquor license. And again, it's just going to be we hope it's part of the neighborhood fabric, and that it can be part of we hope you come once a week. So I don't know. I'd like to, if anybody has any questions right now, they'll throw it out to me, or we could let Dan or Tom, if you have anything else you want to add. I guess now would be.
Dan, you want to go a little bit more into detail about the mass timber for a few seconds before I throw in a few things?
Yeah, do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah, please.
Yes, I think that would be
Okay.
helpful.
So mass timber, the masses are created by gluing together lumber in very large panels, very large beams. But it's literally the lumber that you could get at Home Depot, glued together under very high pressure with very sophisticated glue. And it's got a couple or a few significant advantages. One, the entire structure is machined down to the 1/16 of an inch off-site by computers, by computer-controlled machines. And when it shows up on the site, it goes together like Tinker Toys or
An erector set.
it's called. Yeah, like an erector set.
Mhm.
Every piece, every connection has already been concealed within the timbers, and it all connects up without the need for adjustment in the field. It's that carefully machined. So it shows up on site with 7 or 8 workers, and it's constructed in a matter of a week to 10 days. And then they leave and the work of the building exterior begins. So that's pretty exciting. The reason it's become so popular in the last few or several years in the United States has a lot to do with the economy of it and a lot to do with fire safety. If you build the frame out of steel, you've got to protect that steel. And everybody's been in a parking garage and looked at the steel and seen that fuzzy gray spray that's all over the steel, and it's pretty ugly, but it's there because steel melts in a hot fire. Wood does not melt in a hot fire, and the outer inch or so of this structure is sacrificial in a fire. It chars, and then it stops. It protects the interior of the beam from flames, from fire. So when you go in this building and you look around, what you won't see in the structure, in the exposed wood structure, is all the steel fasteners. They're all buried within the middle of the beams and the columns and the floor slabs. None of them are visible, so none of them are going to melt in a fire. And that's what has allowed some pretty big buildings. They're building 6, 8, 10-story buildings with this technology now around the United States. And the third really exciting benefit of this is how it looks. I think what we're going to end up with is a structure that's fabricated in Europe out of birch. And when you walk in, and you're going to see this, not only do you see it in the beams and the columns, which are exposed, but the floor slabs are made of the same technology. So you'll look up and you'll see birch ceilings in the units in the restaurant, supported by birch columns and birch beams. So the structure is it's beautiful to look at. I encourage you to Google mass timber structures and take a look at some of the incredibly creative ways that this technology is being used. So with our constraints here of not wanting to tie up West Street and Colonial Avenue for any longer than absolutely necessary, the requirement to comply with fire safety laws and code, and the desire for the aesthetic that we want, the mass timber was the perfect choice.
And just to jump on a few subjects real quick, my name is Tom, by the way, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm actually your neighbor. I live on Moore Street, so I'm probably 100 steps away from this project. So just to reiterate Jody's point is that we really want to make this have as least of an impact as possible on your lives, and of course the rest of the residents in the city. So from Dan's plan to do mass timber, we are really trying to ensure that we don't have to shut down West Street for 6 months and have an ongoing situation. And again, reiterating Jody's fact that the restaurant will likely close at 10 o'clock most days, and like Jody said, no later than 12 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. So again, no, it's not going to be a concert venue or anything like that. We're looking at something that's going to be, again, fits well into the community, serves great food, and is something that can be enjoyed by all the residents around. So again, thanks for joining, and any questions you have, we'll certainly answer.
Okay. Did someone start asking a question? If that's you, Don, your mic is muted. Unmute your mic. There you go.
Sorry, it was, sorry. So I just kind of wanted to make sure I understand and looking at that picture. So the building will go completely up to the sidewalk. So it's not going to be set back at all. There's not going to really be any green space at it, since it is completely green space right now. And then with the mixed space, only 6 condos in that building with the retail. And then what about parking? Will it have its own parking?
You are correct in all the things that you said. The edge of the building, it will be the edge of the property line. And let me reshare the site plan.
No, I saw that.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to do it anyway.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
that's the plan and the project.
The property line
Because
is
is there supposed to be some green space?
there is not, and there's no requirement for green space in the zoning for this use. So the property
Really?
line is essentially here, which follows the edge of the building all the way down Colonial Avenue. There's an easement and a distance that the city owns along here that's currently sidewalk, and then it also will be set off a little bit from the lemongrass so that there will be access through between the two buildings. And then the last thing to talk about, or that you asked about, and I'll turn it over to Jody, was parking.
Right, and also confirming that it's only 6 units.
Yes. Hi, Dawn. How are you? Jody Dan here. Hi. Yes, it is only 6 units.
And just so you know, I represent the owner of 164 right across the street.
Great. Yes. Okay, great.
So you know, just so you know who you're
Yes.
talking to.
So you guys know some of the history there too. It used to be Ramsey's Music, and there was there was a couple apartments above that back in the day. And so this is part of 161 West, is part of all of West Village. And so the with some of the requirements for the apartments, and with some of the grandfathered spaces that we still have retained on that spot, we were not required to have parking on the site. And we a petition to have the parking waived back in 2020, and it was approved in March of 2020. And so that's been, that was the big sticking point for a lot of years, is how do we fit parking in here? What do we do? And at one point we had 9 condos here with 3 parking spaces on the ground floor. And as you can see, it's a pretty small, modest building. I think above ground, it's only 67 or 6,800 square feet. So it's not a very large building. And in some senses, to put on-site parking is just not practical with this site. So we were fortunately through the planning and zoning in 2019 and 2020, when we posted the property, they did grant us a waiver for the 6 spaces. Now we hope that everybody is riding bikes, and maybe they don't even have cars, but we know that's not really a reality. But we do feel that 6 spaces is pretty modest, and 6 more condo units is pretty modest in this part of West Street.
And oh, by the way, there's a parking garage right next door.
No, I get that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna sort of close out the meeting by describing to you guys the procedure that we're about to go through for this. And the key to that is that I will be telling you along the way how you can participate. As I said at the beginning of this is the first thing that you do. When you're going to the City of Annapolis with a major site plan, you must have had a community meeting already. And so the first, and it's sort of the kickoff meeting, and that's what we're doing here. Shortly after this meeting, we will submit to the city numerous documents that make up the major site plan package. That will be drawings, which will show some floor plan, but will mostly be centered around the building footprint, utilities, and stormwater management. That goes to the Planning and Zoning Department of the City of Annapolis and is reviewed by all the departments, Fire Marshal, Public Works, Planning and Zoning, Building, Stormwater Management, Environmental. If I'm forgetting somebody important, they won't forget. And then those folks prepare comments and send them back to us. They normally do that within a 60-day period. There's a back and forth. We hope that lasts 2 cycles, right? We submit, we get comments back, we address all of those comments, we resubmit, we tie up a couple loose ends, and then the city planning and zoning says, okay, you're ready to go to planning commission. Planning commission will be advertised, and you will be invited to join. I don't know where they'll be at that point in a couple months. I think they're still virtual planning commission. I think you still are able to sign up ahead of time to participate in public comment. But at that point, the planning commission will go over the project. This is usually a 2-month process. They'll take the first meeting to introduce the project, go over it, have any questions and whatnot, and direct them at the project team. And then the second meeting, a month later, the project team will have addressed those comments. The planning commission will review it, make sure that it's all good. And if they decide to approve it, that means the major site plan is approved. But we're not done yet. At that point, we can then file for grading and building permits. Those are also two elements that the public can participate in. So the major site plan and the grading permit are very similar. So the grading permit goes in and is reviewed by not only planning and zoning and all the other departments I mentioned, but now the inspection folks, John Manasseh's group gets involved. The building part goes to the building section. They're looking at life safety, all the code requirements. That's when the real nitty gritty happens with every electrical outlet and every light and fixture, plumbing, Department of Public Works gets involved again, because now we're getting closer and closer to hooking up to their utilities. The grading permit and the building permit are big processes. There's really three big ones: the major site plan, which is more of a planning tool, the grading permit and the building permit, which are actual details. And then at that point, the grading permit, when it is issued, and the building permit, when they are issued, are both appealable. If for some reason a community resident or person standing has a problem with anything that's going on, that's another opportunity to engage the city and tell them of your concerns. Once the grading permit appeal and the building permit appeal are over, you will start to see construction on the site. Our goal, if the stars align, is for just when the winter's breaking and the weather's starting to get a little more predictable, this place gets a basement and starts getting framed up in 2023. Does anyone have any questions about process? Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? It doesn't matter what they are. I just want to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask them before we move toward wrap up. Okay.
I'd also just like to interject, if anybody develops any concerns over the next couple weeks, my partner Tom Hanna or myself are available most days, and we'd love to sit and have a cup of coffee and talk to you about what our plans are and hear any concerns that the neighbors might have, or anybody that you know that couldn't come to the meeting and wants to talk. We're open and available.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Jody, because the last part is that I will write up meeting minutes based on this meeting, and I will mail them to everyone that got the letters of notification. On that meeting minute letter will be a YouTube link, because right now we are recording and this will be posted to a YouTube channel. So if you have any friends or neighbors and I was contacted by a few people who couldn't make it tonight. If you have any of those folks that are interested in seeing the presentation that we've had here this evening, you will be getting a link to that video very shortly. And with that, last chance for any questions, at least tonight. If not, I will thank everyone for attending, and I will say that for you to look forward to the meeting minutes and YouTube link, and we look forward to engaging with you throughout this process.
Great. And Carl, I'm sorry, this is Dawn again. Can I make sure you have my information? Because my mother, Betty Wiles, who owns 64, she has a difficult time participating in that. So I am representing her and the 164 property. Can I make sure that I'm
Yes,
included?
if you could. Did you send me an email already or no?
I have not.
Okay,
What is
on your letter,
Yes.
if you have the letter, you should have my email address. It is carl.corse@verizon.net. carl.corse@verizon.net.
All right. Yep. I'll send that to you.
I wonder if I've just let the entire YouTube world spam me. Hopefully not. But anyway, yeah, I'll include you in it. I have a master list of all the adjacent residents, and so I'll put your name on that as well to make sure you get everything that everyone else gets.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting now, and we'll look forward to talking with you folks in the future. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.